As we saw before, our soldier has two primary behaviors, attack and patrol. Our basic soldier uses the default patrol behavior, so let's go look at that. The patrol behavior is a parallel that does a number of things simultaneously. On each frame, the behavior will determine where it wants to move based on its place in a formation, determine how fast it wants to move, and then actually perform the movement. There's also a sequencer that lets the AI raise an alert to notify his teammates whenever an enemy is spotted. As soon as the enemy variable is not null, we just saw a minute ago how that variable gets assigned, an alert is communicated and the soldier switches its own behavior to attack, overriding any orders from its commander. There are a few custom actions here, so let's take a look at them one by one. When I select Set Formation Move Target, you can see here on my right-hand side that the action has a number of parameters. I need to specify my commander so the action knows which formation I'm in. I also specify variables that I'd like the action to set for me, including both a movement target, where I want to be standing, and a facing target, what direction I want to face while I'm moving. The last parameter lets me select how I want to choose a formation position to stand in. In this case, I want to select the first available formation slot, as determined by the formation manager. Let's jump in and look at the code. The Set Formation Move Target action has two primary roles. The first is to find a formation harness attached to our commander, and allocate a slot within the harness. This gives our AI a position in the formation that won't be occupied by any other AI. Once we have a slot in the formation, we want to determine its current position so we can move to or stand in the correct spot. The formation harness is covered in more detail in another tutorial, so I won't go into it here. If we jump down to Start, we see that the method is mainly used to set up our move and face destination variables. We also have a method called setCommander, which is used to find the active formation harness on our commander. Moving down to the Execute method, we can see that it also starts by calling setCommander. We do this each frame just to make sure we're always using the correct formation harness if our commander changes or is killed. Once we have a valid formation harness, we check to make sure that our slot is still valid and that our position hasn't been occupied by another AI. If our slot is no longer valid, we'll vacate the position and try again. Next, we check to see if we need to allocate a new slot. We allocate a slot by requesting one from the harness assigned by our setCommander call. The code then assigns the correct slot position to the move target variable, and sets a facing target based on the orientation of the formation. Okay, now we'll jump back to our behavior tree again. Our next custom action is used to set our movement speed for patrolling. When I select the Set Patrol Speed action, I'll once again see a number of parameters on the right-hand side. Close enough distance represents how close I'd like to stay to my move target. Because that's blank here, my soldier will use the default close enough distance specified on its motor. Max distance represents the distance my AI can be from the move target before it starts running. In this case, the AI will start running if it's further than 2 units from the target. We also specify the speeds we'd like to use for walking and running. In this case, we're using walk speed and run speed variables, which are defined individually for each AI. Our last input parameter is the move target. Here we'll use the formation target that we just calculated in our Set Formation Move Target action. The final parameter is the name of the variable we want the action to use when setting our patrol speed. In this case, we want the action to use our patrol speed variable and fill it in with the calculated speed. Let's look at the code for that action. As usual, our start method sets up our input variables. Execute starts by evaluating all of the input variables for distance and speed. We then check to see if we're more than max distance away from our move target. If so, our movement speed is set to our run speed. We also set a variable called @target to false, which lets us keep track of the fact that we're running. Once we start running, we want to keep running to our target until we're within our close enough distance. Once we're within the close enough distance, we set @target back to true and our movement speed back to walking. Back to our behavior tree again. The last custom action is Shout the Alert. This action uses the communication system included in this package to send a message to all teammates over the team communication channel. For our parameters, we specify the channel we want to send a message through, the variable that will be used to receive the message in each of the receivers, and then the message itself. In this case, each of the message recipients will have the variable enemy sighted assigned to the position of the enemy. Shout the alert is actually using the communication custom action. That's covered in more detail in the communication system tutorial, so I won't go into that here. Alright, so that's it for our patrol behavior. As a quick recap, on each frame we're going to update our position based on our spot in our patrol formation. We'll calculate a speed of either running or walking depending on how far we are from our formation position, and then we'll move to our spot. We'll also constantly check to see if we've spotted an enemy, and if we have, we'll raise an alert and then switch into attack mode. Okay, so now let's go look at the attack behavior.